What's something embarrassing you're willing to admit? About a year or so ago I was standing in line at the grocery store, waiting to pay for my small grouping of items. The man in front of me is elderly, maybe late 80s, early 90s. He has finished his transaction and is trying to get his wallet out of his pants to pay. Now, this guy's clothes are about 2 sizes too big for him, so everything is kind of hanging off of him. Because of his advanced age and loose clothing, reaching into his back pocket to retrieve said wallet is proving to be extremely difficult. He seems to lack the strength, dexterity, coordination to both maintain his reach and grab the wallet from the very deep and loose back pocket of his old man pants. This goes on for, without exaggeration, for like 5 solid minutes. Picture a grocery store with lots of people trying to get dinner and whatnot, and everyone is basically on hold while this guy tries to get his wallet out, to no avail. Now, here comes the horror. Old man big pants, without a word to me, points his rear end at me and just looks into my eyes. I realize that he wants me to get his wallet out for him. The realization hits me and I am frozen. There are like 10 people in line behind me all watching this happen, and who want to get home in time for Jeopardy. I start to do nothing, but then realize that this dude is genuinely looking for help. So, I reach into his back pocket to try and retrieve the wallet, as quickly as possible. This is when I realize what the problem was. The dude has Costanza Wallet X10. It's huge. And heavy. I am trying to get a grip on the thing and I cannot get it past the loose fabric of the deep pocket, and more folds of what I realize are his old man floppy as flesh. I swear I tried for like 30 seconds to get the thing, and couldn't. At this point I turn around and see the horror on some people's faces, because to the untrained eye, I am a dude sticking his hand down a poor old man's pants. In a grocery store? In broad daylight. It's at this point that I give up and tell the guy, "Sir, it's all good, your stuff is on me," and cram my card into the machine and pay for his stuff, like $12 bucks, NBD. He thanks me and shuffles out of the store while I pay for my stuff and slide off to my new life as a molester of the elderly. I always used to volunteer to help out with first day registration at my middle school. All my friends gave me crap for being a teacher's pet/suck-up. The real reason I did it was if you volunteered you got to pick your locker rather than having one randomly assigned. And I had a gigantic crush on my English teacher. So both 7th and 8th grade years of middle school I wound up with a locker directly across from his classroom so I could see him every day. And I found the most ridiculous excuses possible to have to go to my locker. I may have also sent in the world's most cringe-inducing anonymous Valentine my 8th grade year. I'm pretty sure he knew it was me, but I didn't care. I was completely smitten. So it was kind of like that episode of The Simpsons where Lisa gets a crush on Mr. Bergstrom. Except it wasn't charming in any way. It was awkward and terrible and a wee bit stalkerish. Not having the chance to apologize to him for being such a fucking weirdo is among my biggest regrets in life. Unfortunately, he died unexpectedly just after I started high school. Edit: no, I didn't kill him. I could have phrased that better. He had a massive heart attack while at school, thankfully not while he was teaching. It was unexpected because he was very vocally a vegetarian, and very into running. Also, whoever gilded me, I'm glad you enjoyed my cringiness. Smile? When I was 13 I wrote a pretty detailed Naruto fanfiction. That wouldn't be so embarrassing except for that fact that the details included me and a character who was 26 playing strip poker, among other things. Here's where I really fucked myself over. I then decided to print the story out so I could read it later and make edits. However, I decided to bring it into the bathroom to read while I took a bath and left it in there when I was done. My dad found it and read it, and let's just say he was not happy with the writing content his 13-year-old daughter decided to pick. Edit: I'm glad you find my ghosts gold-worthy. Hopefully this didn't bring up too many painful memories for anyone. During the early horny stages of my life, I realized I had a foot fetish. If that wasn't embarrassing enough to admit, how I figured that one out still makes me cringe to this day. I was at a friend's house. My friend's dad always had a habit of wearing his flip-flops whenever he came home from work. He left suddenly and I noticed that he left his flip-flops by the door. While my friends were distracted with video games, I got the idea of grabbing my friend's dad's flip-flops, went to another room and placed the left flip-flop on my crotch while I smelled the right flip-flop. The result was an intense orgasm that almost made me cry, followed by lots of shame of what I've done afterwards. I am still close with said friend and see his dad once in a while. To this day, whenever I see his dad in flip-flops, I cringe with shame and embarrassment over something that happened 15+ years ago. Despite being in serious relationships, I still count this moment as one of the top 3 of the most intense orgasms I've had in my life. Well, that's 3 embarrassing things I have admitted. I'm on a roll. Edit: I have been blessed by the Reddit gods. Thank you for your forgiveness and your offering. When I was like 13, I grabbed lotion out of my mom's bathroom to jerk off with, and it was some weird fake tan shit that turned my dick a weird tint of orange for like a whole month. That was really stupid. Edit: thanks for the gold, I don't know what it does but I'm eternally grateful. I didn't know alpacas were animals until I was 27. I thought alpaca meant made from llama hair, much like wool is made from sheep hair. Hee hee, I thought the moon phases were caused by the Earth's shadow on the moon. It was only when my son asked me to explain moon phases that I luckily decided to Google first so I can give him a proper answer. Ha ha ha, that's crazy. Guys, this guy thought the moon phases were the Earth's shadow, ha. What an idiot. Frantically Googles moon phases. Edit: guys, I get it now. Thank you for the many and varied explanations, and now I understand. RIP my inbox. The first time I ever spoke in public was a debate competition when I was 13. I pissed myself in front of teachers, peers, opponents, other schools, judges, and any other descriptor for a person in that 200-person audience. I was embarrassed but decided that nothing more embarrassing would likely happen if I spoke in public again, and now I have no fear of public speaking. I was supposed to read a Shel Silverstein poem as a talent show performance in 4th grade. But I ended up walking out to the mic, completely forgetting every single word of the poem, and walking back off stage without saying anything. My parents were in the audience, of course. I've never asked them about it since. Now I feel better, because at least I didn't piss myself. Dude, I grew up in a very similar situation. Your whole view on relationships gets twisted. I remember being sat down by a teacher and told why it was a problem. Definitely the most crushingly embarrassing moment of my childhood. Took years to pull out all the twisted, unhealthy threads of behavior. Glad you're one of the fellow humans who recognized how messed up it is. I feel like a lot of people don't. I never knew the spleen was a real organ. The name sounded so silly to me that I thought it was a joke. When did I find out it was an organ? In med school? Edit, a lot of people are asking why I didn't learn this stuff in pre-med. I'm not American, so we go straight into med school. Stuff like anatomy and physiology forms the first year of med school for us. I have smacked my face on our glass door and the side window of vehicles so many times my husband thinks I need a helmet. How it happens, something will catch my attention, my dog's barking, hearing the cat food bowl get knocked over / my husband pointing at something as we drive by, and I'll overly excitedly go to press my face against the glass to see. I do it every damn time. Husband also likes to find candles for me to smell in the store because I somehow smash my nose onto the wax, or nearly bust my lip on the rim of the glass, while I am holding the candle. Write out everything you feel and want to say about her / your relationship, like a journal entry. Don't give her what you've written, but be completely honest with yourself. Do this multiple times over days or weeks if you think you need to. You'll feel better and be further along to being over her. Because if you're unsure, you aren't over her. That doesn't mean you'll stop loving her or anything, but doing this really helped me not want to be with my ex anymore. Also, if you have someone that you can talk to about her who won't judge you, you should talk with that person. I'm the same way. I've been trying to figure out how I can get drunk and sleep with a guy and not end up peeing all over him in the middle of the night. Suggestions? Find a guy that sees that as a pro and not a con. Seriously though, I don't know if this will help or not, but here's my experience. I used to wet the bed pretty frequently. I'm a pretty light sleeper and it got to the point where the sensation of my crotch getting warm and wet would wake me up almost instantly, but always too late to stop it. This led me to remembering the dreams that I was having right before it happened, and in those dreams I was always, without fail, on the toilet, or somewhere else I might pee in real life. Unrelated to that, I got interested in lucid dreaming. I only ever got that to work a handful of times, but one of the side effects seems to be that whenever I'm in my dream washroom, I'm able to recognize that it's not real and I wake up before doing the deed. In the 10 years or so since then I've only had 1 or 2 slip-ups. Edit, obligatory mention that my most upvoted comment is about pissing the bed. Thanks Reddit. When I was young, I didn't know the difference between getting laid and getting laid off. Had no idea that these things are completely different. I would use them almost interchangeably. So, when my dad lost his job one year, the next day at school I went around explaining to all my classmates, yeah, things aren't going well at my house, my dad got laid yesterday. I listened to Adam Sandler at a young age, probably too young but hey, and hearing his skits but not knowing what jizz actually was, I just assumed it was a synonym for whiz. So during the car ride home from the beach, I announced to my mother and older sister that when next we pulled over, I really needed to take a jizz. Their reaction still did not teach me what jizz was, but it absolutely taught me that it was not the same as a whiz. Peeing straight up into the air like a whale shooting water out of a blowhole. Like a pee whale, yeah. Woke up the next morning. Realized what had happened. Shamefully ate some corn flakes. Then Lysol bombed the room and torched the sheets, mini rug, hamper and everything else that had been violated. TLDR drunkenly came home in college dorm and accidentally gave my room a golden shower. My freshman year in college I lived in dorms that had community bathrooms, but Each room had their own sink, weird combo I know. It was such a pain to have to get up in the middle of the night to walk to the bathroom. Anyway, one night I went out with members of my club sports team to the bars and got blindingly drunk. Somehow staggered back to my dorm room, somehow avoided the questions of our RA and got changed and into bed. Now I forgot to mention that my and my roommates' beds were both elevated off the ground as if they were top bunks, despite being separate from one another. Right before I went to sleep I realized I had to pee. In my drunken stupor I decided it was a better idea to try and kneel on my bed and pee off the side into the sink rather than try and walk to the bathroom. Started peeing into sink. Fell backwards drunkenly, still peeing into the air. Passed out while I dated this girl for like 1.5 years in high school. Having dated someone before her, I was not a virgin but she was. At the beginning of our relationship we didn't do anything more than grope and make out until one night I went over there to watch some basketball with her parents and their neighbors who were having a little party. I get there and after about an hour of her hinting, she tells me to go to her room with her. We start making out and she undoes my pants and goes down on me. After a couple minutes she stops abruptly, then just suddenly vomits all over my dick. I guess she had eaten Italian earlier that evening because there was red sauce and noodles all over my groin. She flipped out and ran to get a towel while I just sat there in disbelief. I stood up and politely went home to scrub pasta sauce out of my pubes for the next 3 days. Surprisingly, that wasn't what made us break up. Ever will go poop at that house ever again. While I was visiting my girlfriend's family home one summer during college, I had to use the bathroom. I had been there a couple of days and had to go el numero dos. So I went. It was huge and clogged the toilet horribly. Now this was no ordinary bathroom, it's a makeshift bathroom in the basement that's half finished, half unfinished. Panicking, I looked around to find a plunger, there wasn't one. So, I found a sort of barbecue knife thing, I tried to stab and cut the poop up, didn't work. It smelled so horrible you could smell it up to the kitchen. Freaking out at this point, nothing will get this poo down the damn toilet, I asked my girlfriend what to do. She was dying laughing at me and then told me to just go home, about a 3-hour drive. So I got my stuff, headed home, and never ever spoke about it again. Her dad apparently had to try and fix it over the course of 3 days. I never. Back in elementary school I slipped and fell in a watery spaghetti puke puddle. Fucker before me apparently couldn't puke into the toilet for some reason, when I hurriedly sprinted into a bathroom stall because I was yo-yoing a massive shit. The slip caused me to land on my ass hard enough that I shat myself. So I had to waddle down to the nurse's office, drenched in puke and caked in my own shit, and explain to her what the fuck just happened. It's like the beginning of an early 2000s teen comedy. Blink 182 damn it playing in the background Dick Cheese, I'm telling you guys, senior year is gonna be the year of Dick Cheese. I'll catch up with you guys later, I'm gonna go take a deuce. Turns corner and slips and falls in puddle of puke. Shits self. Funny sidekick, dude. You shit yourself in the puke. Hot chick, what a loser. Walks off with jock wearing Letterman jacket. Nerdy and quirky chick who nobody realizes is also very hot, oh no. Here Dick Cheese, let me help you. Quietly, my parents got divorced, so I know that life can be tough sometimes. I audibly shit myself in a boardroom meeting once. There were about 7 or 8 other people in the room and it happened while my boss was speaking. He stopped talking and there were some gasps. I didn't know what to do other than profusely apologize and go home. Next day I apologized to my boss and told him I'd been ill. I still work at the same company and it hurts every day. This was 2 years ago. Don't worry, there's this guy at my work who shits his pants on the regular and it's not even a big deal anymore. I bet hardly anyone even remembers, and when they do it's 12 seconds of yeah haha that was awkward and then that's it. Edit, apparently a lot of workplaces have serial pants shitters. That's uncomfortably surprising. That I talk to my cat in baby voice. I'm a 39-year-old dude. I also make up Illig the Bread poems for him on the fly. Most recent one goes like this. His name is Guns, actually Gunner. And he is bad. When he is naughty, it makes me mad. But he is cute. And licks to snuggle. And that is why I give him huggles. Edit, since this comment blew up, here's a kitty selfie. I have a terrible fear of mixing up bathrooms. Before going in one I'll check several times, is the triangle pointing down, etc. Sometimes I'd even walk out of one after a couple steps to recheck the door. And yet sometimes I mix them up. I did this at a wedding once. The doors to both bathrooms were wide open and I saw a guy go in one, so I assumed it was occupied and genderless. So I used the other one. While I was in the stall, I realized what happened and had to wait it out until all the other women left the bathroom. The only person who saw me was the wedding photographer. I once got 2 speeding tickets in one afternoon. One was in a boat, the other was in a car. Educational edit, for boats, in most cases, there is not a definite limit like 30 miles per hour, 40 knots, etc. The signs will simply say no wake zone, and depending on what type/size of boat you have will determine how fast that may be, so long as you do not create a noticeable wake. They are typically posted near shore but can also just be out in the middle of a river/lake. After I bungee jumped 4 years ago, I am terrified of high bridges, towers and even mountains. Everything went fine, but I can't shake off the feeling and I am scared that I will suddenly jump from them. I have a fear of heights and get vertigo as well, but I'm a very strong-willed person and didn't let it control me. To face my fear, I decided to do a bungee jump, the highest one in the world, just to show my fear who is boss. Yeah, big mistake. I suffered from a kind of PTSD haze for a day or so after the jump, dizziness, shakes, disconnected feeling, flashbacks, etc. I'm now even more scared and my vertigo is worse. I painted my embarrassing childhood moment. https://i.imager.com/jvpal.jpg. Something similar happened to me when I was in primary school. Our teacher told us to form pairs, so I decided to pick my closet friend, and as soon as I did he began to cry. The teacher asked him why he was crying and he replied saying he wanted to be paired with his actual best friend. Man, it sucked always being the fifth wheel in the group of friends I had frown. Especially as someone who was extremely shy and self-conscious. Something? So we were there playing pool BR, and she pushes this plastic egg container into my hand. I smile and say something like muchas gracias and pocket the egg, preparing for my next shot. She shakes her head in protest. She gestures at my pocket. She also says something, well, a lot, in Spanish. Mostly, I understand no. I'm lost. Finally, she loses her patience. Facebombs and shoves her hand down my pocket, where I keep my eggs. Pulls out the plastic one. Opens it. It contains a condom. I finally understand. I go beet red. I'm such an idiot. I was on vacation somewhere in Spain. I was religiously working out back then, so I even got a contract for this local gym, for this 1 month. Met this girl there, a local, read, Spanish. First only small talk, then we went on some dates. First going to the pool with her brothers, later going out alone. I really liked her, and she was sexy. But I didn't dare to talk much, since my Spanish was poor. I figured we were friends. We were out on a date, playing pool BR after having some arepas, similar to tacos, when suddenly she puts some egg-shaped plastic container into my hand. It looks like one of those containers that contain small prizes you get from those carnival machines, you know, the ones with the claw that you operate, trying to grab a stuffed animal or whatever. If you don't win a real prize, you get a loser's prize? Think like some cheap metal flag pin or... As a female, I rarely see stuff like that in public bathrooms. However, sometimes girls don't wrap up their items properly to throw it in the trash. At my work, trash can is open and right directly next to the toilet, and not only can you see it, but it fucking stinks too. Sometimes girls' bathrooms are repulsive. Edit, words. I got my first iPhone about 7 or 8 years ago. It was the 4, I think, the first to have Siri. Anywho, I was listening to a lot of hip hop at the time, and the phrase I chose say to Siri was "I love it when you call me Big Papa." For those who don't know, Notorious Big, now you know. Siri asked me if I wanted her to call me Big Papa. Why the fuck not, I thought. So this event totally left my memory until about 2 years later, when I was looking for an email I had sent from my phone. I found it and was horrified to learn that it had been signed off from Big Papa. Everything I had sent from my phone in those 2 years, including job-related emails and even applications, had been signed off from Big Papa. This is one of the cringiest stories from my past, which I have shared before, but it was probably the most embarrassed I have ever been. Back when I was in high school and I went out with a girl I had a huge crush on. We went to the zoo and then grabbed some food at some place. It was great and I had an amazing time, but we had to split up in order to get our trains that were going in the opposite directions. I awkwardly tried to lean in for a kiss, while she went in to hug me, and I ended up headbutting her in the face and her nose started bleeding. I was so embarrassed and I just asked, "Are you okay?" And when she said, "I think so," I just waved goodbye and ran into the train station. I avoided her for weeks because of this and was too embarrassed to ask her out again. I always tell this story when this question pops up. When I was in the 6th grade, my friends used to call me a dildo all the time. I used to hate it, and get so pissed every time they did. Crucially, I didn't know what a dildo was, but I had a sneaking suspicion that it was a penis. So close, yet so far. I didn't realize my error until one fateful day, when my friends once again decided to call me a dildo during PE. In my anger, I shouted, "At least I have one." I'm 30 years old, and to this very day, anytime I see one of those people, they inevitably bring up the fact that in the 6th grade, I shouted that I had a dildo. I've recently taken a liking to having a finger up my butt. Them prostate orgasms are intense motherfuckers, and now I'm slightly addicted to them. It's weirding out my girlfriend and now I think she secretly thinks I'm gay. To help your girlfriend out more, maybe educate her to what is actually going on with that prostate. I was that girl for a while, and was completely taken aback when my ex decided randomly one morning, he wanted me to stick things in his butt. Now it's like the best power trip, so good. My sister did the same thing at miniature golf. When she finally said something, they went to the bathroom together, and as soon as her hand touched the door she peed herself. They washed her shorts in the sink and used the blow dryer to dry them as much as possible. Her friend kept her secret to this day. I, on the other hand, just told the whole internet. I dropped my female friend and a cute friend of hers off somewhere, and as the cute friend left she said it was nice to meet you, to which I responded hello. Her saying nice to meet you for some reason processed through my head as a greeting, still wanted to drive into a wall though. The first time I went down on a girl I had no idea what to do, so I just lapped at it like how a cat drinks water. To my advantage, it was the first time she had been gone down on, so she didn't know what to expect and enjoyed it anyway because she had no basis of comparison. I have a small penis. Edit, thanks for the encouragement everybody. Smile? Me too. But if you pay attention to her needs and have confidence while performing, you'll be surprised how much they don't care. The stigma around it used to dissuade me from meeting women. Once I started to own it and made a few self-deprecating jokes about it, I started to not care about it anymore. A woman who cares about your size is the same as a guy who cares about chest size. It's really not that big of a deal if connections are made, and you'll be surprised how much most people don't care. Physical education at school, we had to do this thing where you lie on your back with your legs in the air. You then move your legs in a pedaling motion. I was chosen for a demonstration. Alas, I was wearing boxer shorts. Imagine how embarrassed 12-year-old me felt when my right testicle popped out to say hello. As discreetly as I could, with about 30 people watching, I tucked it away. When it was mentioned afterwards, I just denied that it had happened. Denied it repeatedly in the hope that everybody present might just decide they were mistaken about what they believed they saw. When I was in elementary school, I drew Sonic the Hedgehog comic books with OCs and all because I was obsessed with the Sonic games. Then my uncle gave my Tony Hawk's Underground 2 and I never looked back. TFW, Tony Hawk saved me from almost being a furry. My record for beating off in one night was 15 times. I was at my grandmother's house. She went to bed, and it was the first time I had solitary access to the internet. Oh, to be 14-ish again. The best part. I didn't know about deleting browsing history because I didn't have the internet at home. Not sure I've ever wanted to die as badly as when she taught me how to delete it, in front of my mom. I have PTSD, and one of the worst symptoms for me is my extreme startle response. People that know me understand. Strangers don't, and I know I must look like a weirdo. The worst part is when people who do know and do stuff to startle me on purpose. Anyway, I have two moments that are embarrassing to admit. I went to the bathroom at my friend's house and startled the crap out of myself with her bathrobe hanging on the door. I left my room to grab something, and when I came back my fiancé was standing there. I screamed because I wasn't expecting him to be there. I also can't use the bathroom if someone can hear me. I can't drive much. I have to shower every time I use the bathroom. I'm not stupid, but cognitive dysfunction causes me lose words and conversation is humiliating sometimes.